21 years. 21 years. Before we get started, just a few things we have to get taken care of. Number one, if you could please turn off your iPads and cell phones, that'd be much appreciated because it can interfere with the microphone. So if you could please do that now, pretty please. That'd be great. Number two, I forgot to say thank you to a few other people, so I'm going to rectify that mistake right now. Number one, we need to thank the boosters because they gave us money to help us keep this going for 21 years. So make sure that if your parents are a part of the booster club that you thank them for this. Number two, Tech Crew. Let's give another round of applause for Tech Crew for helping this go smoothly. And then go ahead and take a look at your teacher, give them a smile and a wave, say thanks for bringing me to Writers Week. Hello class, you're welcome. You're very welcome. I also forgot to mention that if you look in your programs on the backside of the Writers Week program, there's a link to the Writers Week website. And on that website, there's a link to the store. Please consider buying some things that help support Writers Week, and plus they look awesome. You can see your teachers wearing them. Got some cool merch. Some cool merch. That's the term, I think. The next presenter that we have, it's really appropriate that she's introducing or starting Writers Week because she loves Friend High School. We interviewed her for the newspaper, and this is a quote that she gave us. She said, "I freaking love Writers Week at Friend. It's seriously a highlight of my entire year. Seriously, I love you guys." So that's Mary Fonz in a nutshell for you. A little bit about her. Mary Fonz is a writer who grew up under a quilt. In 2010, Mary created Quilty, a weekly online program for the beginner quilter. In 2011, Quilty became a bi-monthly magazine, available nationwide at bookstores, quilt shops, and via auto-ship and digital subscription at fonzandporter.com. Mary co-hosts Love of Quilting on public television. She lectures and leads workshops on quilting and poetry, and her first book, Make and Love Quilts, Scrap Quilts for the 21st Century, was published by C&T Stash Books in June of 2014. Paper Girl, Mary's blog, is updated at least 5 times a week and can be found by going to maryfonz.com. Mary holds a BA in Theater Arts from the University of Iowa and is currently pursuing her graduate degree at the University of Chicago. She has books for sale at the end of her show. Consider buying them and supporting her. They're awesome. She also has a shirt on the Writers Week store. Please consider buying that and supporting her through that as well. Let's give a big round of applause for Mary Fonz.
Me and my luggage were whisked away, about 4:45. Through grimy windows my eyes did see steel and glass buildings standing so sure. Chicago's a hard and imposing city, but its heart is pure. What have I done to my favoriteest lover? Leaving like like this, my purse grabbed in haste, off to new visions and a new city's cover. What a waste. For mercy and grace I shall grovel and beg, come June when the weather is fair, lash at my back and the back of my leg. It's truth you care. This is how I write poems. In bed, under a quilt. That's my first poem. I made this quilt. Writing and quilts are like very similar. And this poem, or this quilt, is called Little Black Dress. And I'm not going to talk to you about quilting today, but I forgot to do this last period, so I'll do it. Writing and poetry and quilts and writing are very similar because you piece things together, you edit, you make mistakes, you use your seam ripper, you use your eraser, you use the delete button. And often I compose poetry while I'm making quilts, and I don't make quilts that look like maybe the quilts that are in your grandma's attic. I make quilts like this, lots of solid black. This is called Little Black Dress because each square here, each block, is like a different dress I would love to wear. And I didn't know, it's like, what shoes go with a little black dress? And I was like, Louboutins. Louboutin shoes with the red sole. Ladies, you know what I'm talking about. So it's like black shoes with a red sole. So I'm going to put these blocks into. Okay. Oh, and it's hot pink on the back. Woohoo! So anyway, friend, I'm so glad to be here. Ah! Give yourself a round of applause. Truly, maybe my favorite thing to do all year. I'm serious. Because you're great, and Writers Week is great, and thank you to the teachers and everybody. I love coming here, and I know the day's gonna come where it's like, Mayor, it's been a good run. But, you know, you're 90, so you can't remember anything, so, you know, good job. And then they'll get some new chickie to come in and be your favorite. So, anyway, so this is the story. Do you guys, who was here last year? Okay, you remember when I called that guy on the phone and he spoke Russian? You know, he was my boyfriend and I was so in love. Dead. Well, he didn't die, but the relationship's dead. I broke up with him because, you know, he was amazing, but he was Russian and there was just the Russian things about him that I couldn't deal with. And so nothing against the Russians, I mean, hot, but kind of a problem. So anyway, so what happened is that because I'm a writer, and anybody who wants to be a writer, I always give this advice, hustle. You gotta really hustle out there. You gotta take jobs that don't pay at first, and you gotta write anything and build your resume. But one of the things I love about being a writer professionally and a quilter is that I work for myself. I pay my own taxes, I buy my own health insurance, but I don't answer to nobody. I got bosses who are like my clients and I have to turn things in on time, you have to be very responsible, but I don't punch a clock and I really like that. And so because I can work from anywhere, I can go anywhere. And so my Russian boyfriend, he got a job in New York. Did I mention he was 26? And I'm 35, so, you know, it was very cool. Anyway, so, abs. So anyway, he moved to New York for a job. And we were falling in love. And I was like, you're leaving? You can't leave, we're falling in love. And he was like, come with me. And I said, okay. So I went to New York with him, and we moved into an apartment, pretty neat apartment in the East Village. And I rented my apartment here in Chicago till June to these medical students. And so they're in there till June. So I moved to New York. I hate it. Oh God, I hated New York so much. I like going there to visit, but it was like dirty and crowded. I couldn't write, it was terrible. And then we broke up. So I was in New York, I hated New York. I can't come back to Chicago till June, so I'm in exile. So what do? I'm like, I gotta get out of the city. It's killing me. Where am I gonna go for the next like 7 months? And I was like, DC. I love Washington, DC. I've always loved it. And so I packed up my little U-Haul van and I drove to DC, and that's where I live now. I didn't know a soul, but I've made friends. And I love it. And I might stick around a little bit longer than June, which is weird because I've been whining all year about how much I miss Chicago, but now I have this crush on DC. Chicago's like, seriously? And it drops its water. No, it doesn't really, but I did. My God, okay.
here's what's happening next. I'm going to read a poem about Washington, D.C. There's so many homeless people there. So many. And so there are these guys under this bridge that I pass by a lot. And, oh my God, they're always there. And it's cold, you know. Anyway, so this is called K Street and North Capitol. That's the intersection. Okay. Homeless people must be out of poems. You don't hear them much anymore. When I was coming up, you couldn't swing a microphone stand without hitting a Lawrence Avenue bum with a misty-eyed, ham-fisted piece about injustice. Later, at the after-party, poets would have sex with each other. I have never seen the men under the K Street Bridge awake. They are always sleeping. Nestled in a murder of blankets, their default is wet. Ropes of pigeon lash them to the lower deck. Their lanterns are dim, just Gatorade bottles with drips of fluorescent juice rolling around when a car comes through. Each pile of filth has a human center, just a cap or a hand peeking out. When the air is coldest, they burrow deeper, but it is never below ground. They must be dreaming in there. Sure, hours of rolling nightmares, but this cannot be all. These men have seen frisbee catching dogs. They've smelled peppermint. On a clear day, they too can see Lincoln sitting at his mighty chair. Surely there is a mission in their mind, with fresh garlicky bread and butter and wine and better luck next time. The signs there always read vacancy, but it's like they don't even gotta look. I gave back the grace of God, too expensive. It's enough for me to know I'm a lucky so-and-so. But how shall I keep my brothers? Christ, but I don't know. Stuck in all my own wet ways when the sun comes up over Washington. Careful what you do. Okay. So I have 2 books that I cannot take home because they're very heavy. So you need to buy them. This is my book about quilting. There's a lot of writing in there actually, but it's full of beautiful pictures of quilts and patterns so you can make them yourself. I know many of you are like, I'm not gonna make a quilt for like 20 years, but it's a very nice book and you can give it as a gift as well. I'm such a salesman right now, but you have to be. You have to be when you're a writer and you have a book. You have to be a salesman. In fact, most publishers won't, this is the hard truth, they won't even really look at you unless you have a platform. Now, you have to have serious social media numbers, you have to have serious, I don't know, Twitter followers, all that stuff. You have to have like a blog that a lot of people read. And so if you want to be a writer, start now. I mean it. Get a blog, write consistently, write a lot. Don't let months go between your posts. Get serious about it. Dedicate time to it. Because if you want to write a book, and you have to write a proposal. And in your proposal, you have to put your marketing thing, your promotion thing, and I know this because I just sent out my book proposal for my Paper Girl book that I want to write to like 9 agents, because you got to get an agent usually to get a book to a publisher, right? I sent out 9 book proposals. Book proposal took forever. I have 3 rejections so far. And that's the other thing about being a writer. Get used to crushing depression. No, I mean, well, maybe. And whiskey. No, but, and cigarettes. But no, get used to, no, I do not smoke. And I don't really drink whiskey. Margaritas. Okay, so, no, you have to be ready to be rejected. I mean, it's just like, it's gonna happen and happen and happen. But the more you put yourself out there, the more you do it, you know, you'll be accepted. And I was accepted into this anthology. So Write Club is a show in Chicago. And now it's a show in San Francisco and in Atlanta, and it's maybe gonna be in DC. I'm supposed to scout for venues for it. Here's the deal. This is how the show works. It's a little bit poetry slam and a little bit like live lit event. A week before the show, 2 different writers get an assignment. And the assignment that they get is to defend 2 opposing ideas. Opposing ideas would be things like roots versus branches, fantasy versus reality, top versus bottom, smooth versus rough, love versus lust, okay? So one of the writers gets love, and one of the writers gets lust, and that's the only prompt you get, and you have a week. So the writers go off and they write their pieces. And they could write a poem about love. They could write a rant about lust. They could, well, it's not a rant because you have to like defend your side. So it's love versus lust. And then a week later, you do your piece and you get 7 minutes. And if you go over, you do not get to finish. It's like, you're done. So part of the way you win the game, because it's a competition, part of the way you win the game is to do your piece in exactly, enough time. And it's really hard because the two writers are like some of the best writers in Chicago, and you have to be sort of funny and you have to be good. Anyway, it's really tough. So then the two writers go and then the audience picks the winner. So my first bout that I ever did at Write Club, I lost. Rejection. But the second bout, I crushed my enemy, ha ha! And she was a friend of mine, and I was like, sorry, Chloe. She was like, ugh. So the prompt that we got, me and Chloe, was foreign versus native. And I got foreign, and that's kind of lucky, because I think foreign's easier to like defend and talk about and like laud than native is. But I'm gonna read you this piece. And remember, I killed. Okay, I just hope you like it. Okay, so there's not that many essays in here, so it was a total honor to be in here. Okay, and our bout starts the book off. Okay, these are $10. Remember, salesman. You can't choose your birthplace, your native land, but you can choose the F out of where you want to go. You're from Modesto. You live in Rome. You're from a family that traffics in burnt ham and thinly veiled hate. You practice patience and serve fennel most delicious. You didn't learn that at home, did you? No, you did not. A foreign agent was introduced at some point, a stranger, a new strand. A foreign idea went viral in your native, previously static brain. Often, this sort of thing comes from a book, and we all know a book opens like a door. Foreign comes from the Latin foras, which means door. What can possibly be accomplished if you don't open the door? A closed room? What air comes in? What breath? None can come. Perhaps more depressing, none can leave. You stay in one place, you start collecting dust and precious moments figurines. Just ask my estranged, senile grandmother presently mellowing in her Texas nursing home. I'm glad she's in her native city of Houston. That's surely a comfort to her, being there among familiar, faded church bulletins pinned to familiar beige walls. Of course, if she had gone to Dubai, instead of marrying the first man who gave her a moment's notice back home, she might not be gumming bland, pureed carrots right now. Oh, it might be carrots. She's 90. It's gonna be carrots. But it might be curried carrots. And if she had eaten more curry over the course of her life, it might have aided her digestion, which curry is believed to do. And this would have ultimately benefited her DNA, which would have been passed on to my dad, who likely would have married a different woman than my mother if he had gone to Cordoba instead of also staying in Houston. And sure, I'd be a different Mary, maybe with more almond-shaped eyes, tooling around muddy side roads and a beat-up gremlin looking for work. But I'd probably be singing to a new-ish American pop song, and I would likely not have spent 4 days in the hospital last week, as I did, due to complications from a disease I think I got from my grandmother, ulcerative colitis. Undoubtedly, I'd have a different set of problems. We are all unhappy in our own ways, but to be rid of the pathogen that developed naturally, hereditarily, natively, if you will, in my abdomen, well, I'd roll those dice in a banana leaf minute. No, you can't choose who your natives are or where you're from, but you choose the foreign places you go. And if you are a serious person, aware that you are here for one shot and one shot only, with no do-over, no eternal party if you're nice, if you are soaked in the reality of this lovely and shatteringly painful moment that you have chanced upon, entirely owing to a foreign object entering your mom's, word to your mom. If you were alive, good people, you want to go, not just go on. You want to go to Perth or Venus or dinner at the new place, and you want to go now and go away and go farther and go big and keep going, keep going. I know, it's so hard. It's so hard, and then what do we do when we can't take it anymore? We get out. We throw him or her or it out. We welcome the door, the foras hitting us in the ass. We wait for it, the door hitting us. It's pragmatic. It gives us the extra push. We escape to a foreign place, click through to a plane ticket purchase. We pack a change of panties, a phrase book, or nothing, or a noose, or a set of shiny new razor blades, and we leave. Oh yes, we have all kinds of ways to go, because what is foreign? While it is uncertain, indeed, and risky, of course, and frightening, yes, what is foreign is better than what we know. We do know that. The foreign is better than the leftovers in the fridge that never get any fresher, better than the preset radio station that insists on being the same gesture away from the steering wheel day in and day out. It's better than the same old cereal flakes, the same worn satchel, the same old you, regardless of profile pic. What's unknown is certain to be better than the objects in our native habitat, the chair, the effing chair. Familiarity breeds contempt. Contempt. I hate you, you chair, you bore, you lout, you constant cracked milk pitcher with the flower motif on the side, you moth-eaten closet of dead-eyed dresses staring at me again, you standard, typical, native beasts. I'm gone, and I'm leaving, and I'm not coming back with the same eyes. It would be impossible once I step out and meet the foreign skies and the rearranged figurines on the street. I cannot come back the same, which is to say that I will never come back, which is the goal. A new version of ourselves. That is what we want, what we eternally want. It's what we want when we buy. It's what we want when we drink, when we answer the ad for business. When we answer the ad for used furniture or new love, however used up it may reveal itself to be. Our desire to be foreign to our very selves is in every haircut, every diet change, every catalog course we select, every date, every first kiss at any bar in Chicago tonight, any night, every day of the 7-day week. We want what we don't have. It is the drive of our species. From the C-average sorority student pledge to the lettered scientist, make no mistake, the latter is in the lab as we speak, introducing a foreign agent into the dish. Tomorrow is a brand new day, they exclaim cheerily. Why such confidence? Because tomorrow is foreign. You don't know. What hurt on Monday? Well, sweetheart, it might not hurt today, on Tuesday. You don't know. So get up, sunshine. Carpe tomorrow, mofo. Tomorrow is different, foreign to us and fresh. Forget the congenital native today and its attendant malaise. Who needs it? Nobody needs it. I am proud to meet every dawn a foreigner. It's tomorrow that we live for, the foreign nature of it, the strange that gets us out of our creaking, musty, painfully native beds. You know, one thing about that piece, again with the writing and the essays, if you have an essay thesis statement, which you probably should, mine was like native sucks, foreign is great, keep coming back to that idea. I don't know if you noticed, but like again and again, I'm like foreign, like native is bad, like your native bed and your native grandmother's, you know, stuff and the pathogen that developed natively in my abdomen, like native, bad. Everything I was saying about native was like bad, 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 and I kept saying how it was bad, and then with foreign, I'm like, yeah. So just keep it tight, you know, keep it like really tight to your thesis statement, and that's good. Okay. We gotta do an Insti. We gotta do an Insti poem. So I need 2 volunteers. The Insti poem, by the way, if you've never seen it done, it's a poem I write on the spot while someone is being interviewed, and I write it about them, and it's really fun, and it's pretty hard, but I do it because I love you. So I need 2 volunteers. You volunteer, come on up, but I need a gal, because we had 2 dudes last time. Yes, come. Okay. So, here's what's gonna happen. What's your name? Ian. We have Ian, give him a round of applause. And to my right, we have Christine. Nice to meet you both. Yes? Oh, sorry. Round of applause. No. Okay, so what we're gonna do, Ian, you're gonna interview Christine here at the microphone, and you know, just ask her about herself, because the more I know about her, well, not the easier this is, but the better it goes, okay? So like, what do you do after school? What's your favorite subject? Where'd you go on vacation? That kind of thing, all right? Are you ready? You cool with that? All right. Okay, so, and I'll tell you when I'm ready. Begin.
So what do you like to do for fun?
I am actually in a band.
Awesome. Band name?
It's kind of with church, so it's called the City of Unity.
What instrument?
I can play
self-taught?
Guitar I self-taught, but piano no.
What kind of started off the music?
I guess one of my leaders didn't want to be a leader anymore, so she was just like, oh hey, you should do it, because you know how to play all these instruments, why not?
Oh, where? How long have you been playing?
Guitar, I just started, and it was probably maybe like 2-3 weeks now. Piano, maybe 11 years.
What would you like to be asked? Think about it. Well, I don't know. I don't know you very well, so I don't know if this is good. But yeah, keep going.
Got any siblings?
I have a younger brother.
Is he gonna be in front soon?
2 years maybe.
Does he play instruments?
He plays drums, and he is also a piano player.
What's your spirit?
I think my spirit animal would be.
That's really good. Very poetic.
I think my spirit animal would be a panda. Because they're pretty cute.
Okay, one more question.
If you could have any superpower, what would it be?
I think teleportation, because I won't go anywhere.
Okay, give a round of applause. Okay. Almost, I'm sorry, sir. Okay. Yeah, okay. Whew. Out of breath. All right. Ian, seat. Christine. This one's for you. What should it be called? Cathedral. You know, you call your poem Cathedral and it just sounds fancy. So everyone's like, oh, she's a real poet. Cathedral. Cathedral. All right. Christine brings notes to Christ. The base of religion is something self-taught, grace discovered alone. In the stars of the sky or the ashes of dust, 6 strings keep her and her brother, the little drummer boy, traveling to Bethlehem. Pandas, wise men, gathered round the teleporting Jesus, the rocket. He is her bestie, stars in his pocket. There you go. As usual. So these cards are for you, and I thought if I could never come back to Friend, if they didn't want me, or if I died, which could happen, what would I tell you? What would I want to tell you guys and ladies? And so on these cards are 5 things that I have to tell you. And I stitched fabric onto them, because I make quilts, okay? And so on these cards, and I did these all myself, and you know, it took a while, but it was a joy to do it. So there's like fabric stitched on the back. Some of them don't have fabric, but most of them do. And if you don't want one, no big deal. But I thought about like passing them out to everybody, but that would be really hard. And if you don't want one, that's okay. But if you want one, I recommend them. Yeah. So that last poem was very appropriate because It was about Jesus. And I don't read the Bible, like, as a thing that I do, but it's a pretty great piece of literature. Some people believe it's the Word of God. That's cool. Believe whatever you like. It's a great country. But for me, I sort of treat it as a work of literature, and I need to read it again, actually, because there's some really amazing stuff in there, clearly, and good things to remember and live by and all that. And but it's not my jam. But there's this book in the Bible called Ecclesiastes. Many of you who have read the Bible know what I'm talking about. Some of you who haven't read the Bible know what I'm talking about. Ecclesiastes is like a different book from the rest of the Bible. Song of Solomon is a little different too. What? But Ecclesiastes is this king, and he is having an existential crisis. He's looking out on his kingdom. He has everything. He has everything he could possibly want. And he's rich, and he's like, what does it mean? It means nothing. There's this very famous line, all is vanity. It's like, all is just, doesn't matter. Because like ashes to ashes, dust to dust. There's so many lines in that book that are classic, like lines that we still use today. I should have looked some up between the last period and this one because I can't remember any of them. But things like, the only prophet under the sun, I mean, it's all is vexation, all is vanity. Okay, so I was looking at this, and what I decided, it was very inspiring to me. And you may know what an allusion is in poetry or in literature. An allusion, A-L-L-U-S-I-O-N, allusion, is when you allude to some other piece of writing. You like allude to it, you like reference it, you know, you're sort of alluding to this thing that you've read. And if you need inspiration for a poem or a piece of writing, find something that you love, or think about something you love, like Jabberwocky, or, you know, the paper poem that's printed on your t-shirt, part of it. You know, something that you really like, and sort of make a response to it, or incorporate it into your poem. Because it's very fancy, because people are like, oh, he's very well read. And then you can also sort of use it as a jumping off point. So this poem is a little more abstract, but I know you can handle it. And it's a big allusion to Ecclesiastes, to this king looking out on his field and sort of saying, none of this matters. How depressing. So it's a love poem as usual, called Folly for Joe. These are the days of beauty, the clavicle days. Rose hips rouged under cashmere, dotted stockings nipped twice by straps. Skin is the plains, and the wind rolls round the earth, first to the south, then due north, ever returning on its course. That's like a line from Ecclesiastes, right? My boudoir is a jewel box. My brain conceives of jewels. What shall we do with all of this carbon, Solomon? What shall be done with excesses of gold? You have looked upon the work your hands hath wrought, and on the labor you labored to do. Behold, the only real prophet under the sun was a hot one, waiting to sin in fresh linen with you. All is vexation. Mistresses, like wives, have shelf lives, same as husbands, same as lovers, same as children who refuse to freeze. What shall be done with all of these children, Solomon? What shall be done with excesses of gold? Hold them and let them go as they came. Impossible, opposite what it took to invoke them. Heavy is the iron I cannot absorb. Vanity. This is vanity. Two fools and a bottle of wine. With time to kill and to be killed in time. Take me down, Solomon, into the mine. There you go. And that last line is a different allusion. Solomon's mines, King Solomon's mines, different thing, I know. So, now, what time does this period end? 9:15. Are you kidding me? 10 minutes? Oh boy. All right. Here we go. I call it the heart swell. The heart swell is what happens to you when you have a crush on a girl or a boy and they walk into the room. And you feel like your heart is caving in on itself and like bursting out of your chest at the same time. It's not necessarily something that feels good, but it feels really good. The heart swell happens to me when I hear Beethoven's Ninth Symphony, Ode to Joy. It's like, it gets me every time. The heart beats fast, and it sinks down, and it's the heart swell. A few years ago, a woman named Sam Rindy was arrested because she kissed a painting. She was in this museum in France, and she was so moved by this painting by minimalist artist Cy Twombly that she kissed it with ruby red lipstick. She went up to that painting and she kissed it and left a ruby red stain on all of that white. When she was arrested, because she was arrested quickly, she said, "I have no regrets. This mark is a testament to the power of art." She probably shouldn't have done that. But I know, girl. I know. You had the heart swell, didn't you? You were standing in that museum, and no one was around, and that painting took you. Took you. You were overcome by the ability of a human being to create something of wonder. You were stunned by the ability of good art to transcend that which is elemental in you. You sank and you flew, and you were undone in that terrible, terrifying, ecstatic moment.
I don't believe Sam Rindy should have kissed that painting. There is so much more in this world just as worthy of a kiss.
I think there's lipstick around my mouth because that was a big smooch. All right, not too bad. That you're welcome. So, you took that very well. I was saying last period I used to do that piece. I don't do it every year because, you know, I gotta switch it up. Can't be like, oh, the kissing piece, here we go. But I used to do it where I was like, you know,
You were undone by that terrifying, you know, incredible, ecstatic moment. Rah! And I like couldn't kiss somebody like fiercely, and they were like, ah!
I'm afraid. And some of them took it pretty well, but this one kid was like, no, no, no. And I was like, you're ruining the piece. Ah! So I like kissed his side of his hand, and I'm like, art, okay, whatever, art. So that is that. All right. Okay, here we go. Oh, with my tongue out. That's great, that picture. I was like this. I wrote this world down on paper. And this is all that I have. I've kept a record of the blows to the head, the words that you said, and the paper lights I have seen in the sky that fell to the earth and died. This is not solid ground. It trembles and shakes when you step down, and if you've ever been to a paper world, you know what I mean. When you walk around, you fall. Fall onto paper knees that buckle beneath the weight of your legs, paper necks snap beneath heavy paper heads. Oh, snap. Paper clocks tell incorrect time, paper skyscrapers scrape the skyline, and all the city's citizens want what paper needs: strength, strong stock, safety from water, but it all comes pre-tattered, bleeding, confetti-sized drops of pale ink that stain the paper streets. And I wonder, how do you keep a smile on a cutout face when at any moment fire will ravage Earth and space, reduce your planet to ash? If you bump elbows with a cigarette or a smoking campfire log, get chewed on by a dog that thinks you're the news. I have long since stopped getting the blues. There is no color here. Only the absence of light. That's what white is. That's what white is, right? But if you are a paper doll too, I shall know you on sight. And if you are with me, then come with me tonight. I will match up our bodies by the tears in our arms. We will form paper barricades against matchstick harm. I will make paper love to you for as long as I can in this shreddable world. I will be your paper girl. And if rage is worth nothing on paper, then I have nothing left to say. But if the greatest words of our ancestors have been saved to this day on paper, clinging for dear life to paper, for God knows the reasons why, I will write this on paper and send it up to the wrathful 2D God in the sky. Make me a lover to burn with, and I will be the one who burns it all. I will do your bidding with a smile, but before the cinder sparks and the great fall and the fire starts, give me one day, and I will make a paper boat and sail with him on the sea. And after that, I will gladly burn down the whole paper world as long as he burns with me. Okay, thank you, friend. I wish I could stay all day. I would. I'd stay every period. I'm going to end now because I want you to have time to come down and get a card if you want. There should be enough. I mean, you have more than last period because there's more of you. So that's that. Please buy my books because I can't take them home because they're too heavy. And they're really good. So thanks, guys.